sergeants into recruiter school with only a 1 week notice that they were getting sent. They're doing this because they're down so low in numbers and they need new recruits. So they're putting a ton of new recruiters in stations coming around the holiday season. Now, not only did they promote all these people to become recruiters, they waived the body measurement standards and the fitness standards for these people. Plus, when they get out of school, they're going to be given the rank of staff sergeant, so they're getting fast tracked. Now, they've also been told this is kind of the last ditch effort to avoid a draft. So if we don't get a bunch of people volunteering for the Army very, very soon, the next step is going to be them taking your children from your house. Shit is getting crazy.
Right, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Waharaka Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, chiefly those of Great Millstone, and other like-minded elders in Israel that do teach well, by whom I learned this truth, for the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom Barakim to the elect house of David, brothers and sisters scattered throughout the four corners doing their due diligence in all truth and sincerity, and salutation also to the Akim laboring, ministering week in, week out, highways and hedges, chief place of concourse, giving up their body as a living sacrifice unto Yahweh Shemel Shai. Right, it's the brother Nanya Allah. And hey man, that military drafts that military drafts around the corner, man. Right, just like you had Israel before they went out over there to Gaza, right, to start dropping bombs. They had a compulsory military draft, man. Right, and guess what? That's what's coming. That's what's coming because World War III, we already is already began, and we're about to enter into the midst of it, man. And like we say, like the scriptures say, the second war was past, and the third war cometh quickly, right? This war is going to be a war to end all wars, man. Right, and guess what? Everyone's involved. Like we keep saying, this time everyone's involved, whether you like it, understand it, believe it or not. But a military draft is around the corner, man. Right? And it's going to sneak up on a lot of you people. Because why? Because first of all, you're not measuring the times, and you're not watching. You're not watching to see the things that are going on in the earth right now. Like this guy's going into, man, over there in Babylon in the US, man. They uh they basically sent a bunch of recruiters out there to start recruiting people. But what they're doing is they're dropping the standards down on a lot of requirements. So hey, if you all you need to do is go and look at a military what do they call them? The advertisements they do for the military, right? What you need to go and do is look at a Babylonian one, a military advert, right, to join the military. And the shit is a joke, man. The shit is an absolute joke. And you got so many military personnel, especially these younger military personnel, man. They be complaining recently, low pay, you know, uh, 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 poor living standards, so on and so forth. So their heart really in wanting to fight for Babylon anyway, right? But a time's gonna come where your sons and your daughters are gonna be drafted, man, right? And that's why they sent out these recruiters, right, to recruit people, but they're dropping the standards, and they're also doing what? They're also fast tracking the rank. So that's another incentive for a gun ho trigger happy Edomite to go and join the military, right? The fact that they giving them incentives like if you join, right, then guess what, you can become a general straight away, right? And now if that ain't desperate, I don't know what is, man. But what it also should show you that is the kind of times we're living in, man, right? Right, and Esau knows that he has but a short time, like it reads in pursuing to the book of Revelations, right? They have but a short time, so he's about to come down with great wrath, man. Why? Because desperate times call for desperate measures, man. And that's why there's gonna come a point where your sons and daughters, whether they be ready or not, man, they're gonna have to go and fight for the military, whether that be over there in Babylon or over here in the UK, right? Because but in times past, that's been the case, man. Whether you're talking about World War I, World War II, right? The Vietnamese War, right? The war in Vietnam, right? Viet Cong, right? Guess what, man? There was mandatory military drafts, right? And that's coming back on the earth again, man, right? But this time, like he said, they're dropping a standard. So whereas before you might have had to be, I believe in some countries the age is like 18. Some places it's 21, right? But when you go back into the scriptures, from you were the age of 20, right? From the nation of Israel, man, you have to go to war to fight, man, right? So this is just a bit of information I want to pull up. Um, so let's go into that word conscription, right? So it says conscription. It says compulsory enlistment for state service. It says typically into the armed forces. So that's what it is to be conscripted. And like I said, in the times of World War One, World War Two, over there in Babylon, over there in the UK, man, there was a conscription, man, meaning you would be. It was a compulsory enlistment for state service, man, into the army, into the military, right, into the navy, right, and that's coming back again. That's coming back again, whether you like it or not. And a lot of you are going to be forced to fight. A lot of your sons and daughters are going to be forced to fight in the coming Third World War, right? And they ain't going to be ready, man. America ain't got. Like I said again, all you need to do is look at some of these recruitment videos, man. Go and look at the North Korean recruitment video because that's another place where compulsory service is required, man. When we reach a certain age over there in North Korea, man, you got to go and fight for the military, right? But the difference is that they're preparing their youth from younger, man. They got their 8 to 10 year olds dismantling firearms and then reassembling them, man. While Babylon, America and over here in the UK, what are they teaching their children? The trans agenda, man, showing you that they're not ready, and it's all biblical prophecy because we know at the end of the day, all of these nations are going to come together and they're going to destroy America, man, via thermal nuclear destruction, right? So let me read that again. To be conscripted or conscription means compulsory, meaning you haven't got a choice, man. It's gonna be compulsory in that day. Because like I said again, this third world war, everyone's involved, man. Right? It says for state service, typically into the armed forces. Right? So that enlistment, that enrollment, that conscription's coming, man. Uh so this is just an example, right? It says in the United Kingdom, the UK military conscription has existed for two periods in modern times, right? The first was in 1916 to 1920, and that was the time when the First World War was happening, right? It says the second from 1939 to 1960, and that was the time what? That was the time between the Second World War, right? And a bit past that, right? It says the last conscripted soldiers left the service in 1963. So you've had like what? You've had a good 40 years? No, Salakia, not 40 years. 60 years, right? And that's not been a long time, right? It says yeah, and these are the two periods of time, right, during World War One and World War Two, right, where military conscription was going on, man, meaning mandatory, man, mandatory service unto the military, and this is coming back, right? It's just that this time round, it's it's going to be a whole lot more desperate, because in these times and even in times of antiquity, the ancient times, young men wanted to go and fight for their nation, for their country, right? Even some nations now, they in the spirit of wanting to fight for their nation, right? Just look over there in Yemen right now, right? The Houthis and whatnot, they more than willing to fight for their people, right? But what Babylon's done such a job on confusing and weakening the youth, right? That it's going to be a case where no one ain't gonna want to go fight for their nation, especially in Babylon and the UK. Right? Don't get me wrong, you will have those that will be willing to fight, but you're gonna have a lot of people that aren't willing to fight. But guess what? It's gonna be mandatory. From you're of a certain age, you're fit and you're able, man. You're gonna have to go and serve your country, or it's gonna be legally punishable, man. You're gonna be deemed a terrorist in that day if you don't want to fight for your nation when it's popping off, man. Right? So So it says the United States has not had a draft since 1973, and if I'm not mistaken, I could be corrected. I believe that's the time when the Vietnamese War was going on, right, against the Viet Cong. Right? It says Congress and the president would have to authorize a draft in the case of national emergency. Right? The selective service will follow this process to draft eligible young men, right? And like I said, that's coming back again. That's coming back again in a big way, man, in the biggest way, right? But the government's what? They're going to authorize this draft in that day, man, right? And it's going to be mandatory, right? And a lot of you ain't ready to go and serve your what they call it your country, man. A lot of you ain't gonna be ready for it. Like I said, a lot of the military personnel now, especially a lot of the younger ones, man, they're not fit to serve, man. You got a bunch of flamers in the military. You got a bunch of LGBTQ XYZ members, man. Military personnel, what they do is TikTok movies all day long, folly. Right, these are the people that are meant to be protecting your, your nation, man, your country, man. And that's even more evidence that America ain't gonna make it, man. Right? There's something I wanted to look up quickly. Where is it? Uh, go to the website because guess what? Like I said, this if you're not willing to serve your country, right, during World War III, guess what? There's going to be a punishment. Right? Let's see. It says what happens if you refuse the draft in the UK, right? United Kingdom. It says both draft evasion and desertion are usually criminal offences and are therefore punishable by law, right? It says it is legitimate for countries to require their citizens to perform compulsory military service. You see that? So, hey, man, if you're not willing to serve, man, your country, serve your club and country, right? Then guess what, man? That's going to be punishable by law. Meaning what? They might throw you in a prison cell, man, right? They might throw you in a concentration camp. Now you're deemed a terrorist for not wanting to serve your country, right? And go to war. Right? And this is what's coming. This is what's coming back. And a lot of you younger men, right, and you younger women too, because now equal rights and all that. You're not exempt either, man. And what proves that is like again, you got military members from over there in Israel, especially the women. They be getting kidnapped and shit, man, tortured and shit, right? Right. And this is why they're looking to do what, like the man said, they're looking to fast track your ranking, so that gives you more incentive to want to join, right? They're willing to what is it they said? He said basically lower the standards, man. Right. So hey, where before there'll be certain constraints. Is for example, if you're not deemed fit and healthy mentally or physically, all 10 toes and 10 fingers ain't intact, you wouldn't be able to serve. But this time they gonna make a exemption for that, man. To where you're gonna have to go serve, whether you got 3 fingers, whether you got one eye, because they're gonna be so desperate, man. They're gonna be so desperate because people now more than ever, people are not willing to go and serve their nation or their country, man. Especially over here in the Western Hemisphere. Right? But yeah, this is what you people have to look forward to, man. Compulsory military service, right? You young men, you young women out there, and guess what? It's gonna creep upon you like a thief in the night, man. It's gonna creep upon you. You're gonna get the letter through the door, right? Talking about, hey, you have to enroll, man. You have to enroll. And to be honest, to be honest, man, most of you ain't ready, man. Most of you are not ready to serve your country, man. You know, these devils just go give you the month's training, dump a firearm in your hand, man, along with the ammo, and just and push you. Go along your way, man. Front line, general. Right? But hey, man, hey, the wadi Yahabashim Yahushai, because the Lord's speeding things up, man. And then we gotta be in a spirit to where we're like to hell, man. We're more willing to face the punishment, right, for not serving, not wanting to serve or not serving in that time. And it reminds me of Muhammad Ali comes to mind because around that time, like in the early 70s, he denied. Basically, they told him that he had to go to war, right? And he said, "Nah, man, he ain't going." Right? He said, "Nah," and that's the same spirit that we gotta be in the time to come, because they gonna be so desperate to get anyone they can in their military, man. Soon, trust and believe that, especially over there in Babylon, man. Especially over there in Babylon. you know. But that was just a bit of information I wanted to bring out on the compulsory right conscription, man, right? That mandatory military draft that's gonna be coming up, man, right? Let me just get this quickly. The question post says, "Will the draft come back to the UK?" Because people, these things don't enter into people's minds, man, because their minds are more concentrated on everything else than the serious things that are happening on the earth right now, man. That's why it's gonna come as such a surprise, right? It says, as of my last update, there are no plans for the UK to reintroduce military conscription. Yeah, that you know of, or that we know of, right? It says the UK currently relies on a professional volunteer military force. Any changes to this policy would likely be the subject of significant public or parliamentary debate. Right? That was in 2016, and how times have changed so quickly since 2016, right? Now, let me get this quickly before I finish the lesson. It says countries with mandatory military service 2024. Because, like, hey, some places over the world they've already got a mandatory military service. So the key down here in the key, the green area is yes, right? The green area means that these places have a mandatory military recruitment, right? So a lot of places in what South America, for example, uh, a lot of places in Africa, and yeah, man, and a lot of places over there. Let me read this. It says most nations in the world have some form of military. However, the methods used to fill the ranks of those armed forces vary from one country to the next. Primary methods of recruitment include the following: voluntary enlistment, mandatory service, conscription, a draft. Right. Let's get the mandatory service. It says all males and sometimes all females, as well of a certain age, must serve their country for a minimum amount of 1 to 3 years. Typically employed by militaries with the greatest need or the most uh, autocratic leaders, and a good example of that is North Korea, right? Conscription or draft is a variation on mandatory service in which everyone in a certain demographic group, typically males from 18 to 35, must register as eligible for military service, but the possibility exists that they will not be called to active duty, right? And it just says possibility, man, and the possibilities are very high that if you're within the ages of 18 to 35 in the days to come, man, you're gonna be drafted, man, right? It says but the possibility is that they will not be called to active duty, referred to as being drafted or conscripted. It says, particularly in times of peace, right? And hey, there ain't no peace on the earth right now, man. And it's not about to get any more peaceful, right? Ain't nothing but death and destruction on the menu, right? It says mandatory military service in the news. It says United States has the highest defense spending budget of any country, and we know that because Babylon is trillions of dollars in debt, right? And the dollar's about to crash, right? It's getting lower and lower every day, right? It says despite the fact that fewer than 1% of its citizens actively serve in the military, many Americans may be surprised to learn that the selective service, commonly referred to as a draft, still exists, right? And that most people don't know that, especially the youth, man. They've never even heard of a mandatory military draft. Majority of them, it says, still exists. It says resolutions introduced into the House of Representatives in 2019 HR 5492 and 2021 HR 2509 would both have abolished the selective service. However, as of December 2023, right? So they just renewed it, man, underneath your nose. Probably why around the time when some other folly was going on. Everyone's interested in some other bullshit. These are the things that they're doing, man. Right? It says both resolutions appear to have died in committee. It says South Korea. That's who I meant to say. South Korea, not North Korea, but I believe it's a similar thing, right? But I meant to say South Korea, so Salakia. So South Korea amended its compulsory conscription law in 2020 to enable globally relevant entertainers such as K-pop group BTS, whose members would soon be forced to quit the group to serve their time in the military, right? So, hey, that's how serious it was out there in South Korea, man. They're highest paid celebrities, right? They're top pop groups, man. They had to disband the group and join the military, man. Right? They had to serve, but in the armed forces, right? It says whose members would soon be forced, right, to quit the group and serve their time in the military to defer their 18 to 21 months of service until age 30, right? And it's mandatory out there in South Korea, man. You got no choice. This is a good bit here. It says countries with mandatory military services. Algeria, 12 months for males aged 19 to 30, right? So these are the places where it's mandatory, it's a must, it's compulsory that you're gonna have to serve in the military. It says Algeria, 12 months for males aged 19 to 30. Angola, 24 months for males aged 20 to 45. Argentina, conscription suspended, but government is authorized to reinstate if necessary, and it's going to be necessary soon, right? It says Armenia, 24 months for males aged 18 to 27. Austria, 6 to 9 months for males aged 18 to 50. Azerbaijan, 12 to 18 months for men aged 18 to 25. Belarus, 12 to 36 months for men aged 18 to 27. Belize, conscription legal but has never been needed. And guess what? They're gonna need it at some point too, because like I said, this gonna be the war to end all wars, and everyone's gonna be involved some way, shape, or form, right? So it says Benin, 18 months selective compulsory, right, for males and females aged 18 to 35. Bhutan, it says training required for males aged 20 to 25, but full enlistment is voluntary, right? Bolivia, 12 to 24 months for males aged 18 to 22. I'm probably not going to read all of these out, but the list goes on and on. Let me just read out some of the countries. So there's Belarus, Belize, Benin, Bhutan, Bolivia, Brazil, Cambodia, Cape Verde, Chad, Chile, Colombia. So like I said, a lot of places in South America and within Africa, right? Cuba, Cyprus, and there's quite a few places within Eastern Europe too, right? And the Mediterranean. Hey, basically all over the earth, right? Cyprus, Denmark, Egypt or Salvador, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Estonia, Ethiopia, Finland, Georgia, Greece, Guatemala, Guinea-Bissau, Indonesia, Iran, Israel, Ivory Coast, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, Lithuania, Mali, Mexico, Moldova, Mongolia, Morocco, Mozambique, Myanmar, Niger, North Korea. See, 10 years for males and 5 years for females at age 17. So North Korea ain't playing no games, man. And that's why they're gonna be a force to be reckoned with in this third world war, man. Norway, Paraguay, Poland, and I know a few Polish people over here in the UK that served in the military, that had to serve in the military when they was growing up, right? It says Portugal, Qatar, Russia, San Marino, Sao Tome and I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Senegal, Singapore, Slovakia, Somalia, South Korea, South Sudan, Spain, Sudan, Sweden, Switzerland, Syria, Taiwan, uh, Tajikistan, Tanzania, Thailand, Tunisia, Turkey, Turkmenistan, Ukraine, Arab Emirates, right? United States, right? Uruguay, Uzbekistan, Venezuela, and Vietnam, man. And that's a whole lot of countries right there. That's a whole lot of places, man, that have mandatory military service in some way, shape, or form, right? And this is what's coming back. This is what's coming back, man. So be ready, man. You be ready to receive a letter through your door telling you got enlist or else. Right. So hey, that was just a bit of information I wanted to bring out through the spirit, man. So Lord willing that it was edifying in some sort of way, shape or form. And until the next one, I want to give all praises, all honor, all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Wahat, Rakah, Kodash. Shalom to the elect.